Hello, I'm Juanita Israel, and I am here with some information about federal student loans. A lot of us have them, and I have them as well, and a lot of us want to know more. Maybe you know, there may be some people that I know that don't know, and I want to make sure that I can bring some content, information to people who may be wondering what they can do to find out about their federal student loans. If you did not know, there is a national website that you can always access to get your information about your loans and your loan histories, the number of schools that you've taken loans out at, if you've been to multiple institutions. So that website I'm going to display here at the bottom for you. It is nslds.ed.gov. Again, it's nslds.ed.gov. And I'll display it here for the bottom for you so that you have it. Just a few things that I want you to remember about federal student loans. They are something that will show up on your credit. It can hinder or it can improve your credit. So for all my newbies to the higher education world, welcome. Keep in mind that if you are using federal student loans, and all of us had to, I had to, it's okay. Just make sure you stay knowledgeable, make sure you stay on top of it, and make sure if you have a question or two, just ask your financial aid professional at the institution that you are going to. If you are out of school and you have questions, make sure that you utilize that website that I just gave you so that you can find out who your servicing agency is, get their information and where they are located. What I want you to be aware of is that if you do not make your payments on your federal student loans, it will damage your credit, as I've stated, but it can also go into delinquency. If it goes into delinquency, it further goes into what's called default. And if you go into default, then you can have some bad or negative things happen to your wages. They can become garnished. That's not good. And then your tax returns, they can become garnished as well. So you don't want to see those things happen. And there's simple little steps that you can take to keep your financial aid in good standing, or at least open lines of communication with the servicing agency. So utilize that website. It's a phenomenal resource for anybody that is questioning. Even if you just want to take a snapshot look at the history and the times and the amounts. Even if you just want to know the interest, then definitely take a look at that. Financial aid servicers do change on occasion. So who you thought you may have, which may have been Sally Mae, may be Navient now. And so you want to make sure you have that information going forward, so that you can make the best choices that work for you. Financial aid has several repayment options for your loans. Good thing about people who work in public service, there is a public service forgiveness program that no matter what title you are, if you work in federal, if you work in state, if you work in government or local government agencies, you have the option to contact your agency that is servicing your federal student loans, and a servicing agency is just one that's collecting the money for the lender that you borrowed from. So you can contact them, find out if your agency that you work for, your local government, state government, federal office that you are working for is eligible to be considered for loan forgiveness. Now, there are some other things that come with that make you qualified to be able to go into loan forgiveness, as well as a stipulation for repayment and time. But at least after you've met those ramifications, then you have the option to have your loans forgiven. So definitely do not skip over that option. It's really good for us who do public service. If you work in the medical profession, if you are a doctor in public service, if you are a nurse in public service and a public health facility, then you have loan forgiveness option available to you. If you are in the service, the military, armed forces, then you have options for loan forgiveness for you. as well as if you're a teacher, depending on your location, depending on your demographics of the place that you work, there are some options for loan forgiveness for you. So you definitely want to make sure that you utilize and have a conversation with the agency that's servicing your federal loan so that you know if you fit into these categories for loans to be forgiven. Also, if you do find yourself, you have multiple loans because you went to different institutions and you want to, put them all in one bill. You don't want to pay 4 different agencies. You don't want to pay 4 different checks a month. You want just one lump sum. You can consolidate. And I recommend that you use the William D. Ford Consolidation Program. That's the federal government's program. William D. Ford Consolidation Program. This way, if you decide to further your education, to do a different advanced degree or go back and get certified on something, you have the deferment options for being in school. If you remove your federal debt and you put it into a private institution that consolidates them all together, you lose some of the cushion options that the federal government has outlined for federal student loans and repayments and going back to school, hardships. You take yourself out of that pool of being able to use those. So consider that if you have multiple federal student loans, and some of us do, and you only want to make just one monthly payment, consider the William D. Ford Consolidation program, and you can find that out with your servicer. If you don't know your servicer, again, take a look at the nslds.ed.gov website, because that will give you all the information from every institution that you ever attended. So that's good stuff, good nugget stuff. Also, just be diligent in your federal student loans. You don't want to accrue more than what's necessary. For all my youth that are entering into school, all my people who are going into their master degrees, PhDs, yes, loans are there for you, and there is a maximum amount that you're able to receive up into that limit. But if you do not need to borrow more than what's necessary for the cost of tuition and fees for school, limit yourself in what you borrow, because again, you are borrowing loans that later you will have to pay back, and they will have interest. So keep that in mind. I know life happens, and sometimes that money is necessary just for you to be able to go to school and further your education, but hearing it doesn't hurt. So I hope these few things that I gave you, especially the resource to be able to check your federal student loans on the nslds.ed.gov website, is helpful for you for your future. If you have more things about federal aid, I am a federal aid professional. If you have some things you want to ask me, feel comfortable, ask me. I will tell you, Lord, I've been doing it forever, and I don't have all the answers, but I definitely have a wealth of people around me that do have them. And of course, I know a thing or two. But I love you all. I hope this is helpful, and stay tuned. I will bring you more bits and pieces from my professional career as well as my life, so that you can be flourished with love and understanding. For all my supporters, I love you, and stay tuned. Be blessed.